What's going on, guys? This is going to be the weekly technicals video, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the dollar index. So this is a weekly time frame. Again, we are coming off this weekly ICT bullish order block back here and have since seen that push up that we've been talking about this in pretty much all of the weekly technical videos. And we haven't got above this 95.20 level yet. So let's go ahead and have that on here. All right. Okay, so this 95.20 level is more than likely going to be our next upside target from a weekly perspective. Since we did form this long wick here and then reject, it doesn't necessarily indicate that the market is reversing just yet. We would have to go to a lower time frame, which we're about to do, to get further confirmation on that. But just from experience, these equal highs here, as well as this ICT bearish order block that's sitting at this level, it just is more likely that they would want to take the market up here, relatively, in a, I guess, short amount of time, just because they're so close to it. I don't necessarily see them coming all the way back down here and then pushing all the way back up from there. But let's look at a daily and we'll check it out from here. All right, so if we look on the daily here, you can't really see any support levels on here. There's no ICT bullish order block or anything until you get all the way down here. So there's nothing really to work off of when we're on the weekly, right? But if we drop down to the daily, we can see that we haven't necessarily broke structure yet on the daily. We're still within this push up. So if we do break below this low here, then that would definitely break structure on a daily, and we would be looking for a continuation to the downside. So break below that, and then a retest of it. This, as the market's trading into it here for the retest, we would be looking for the majors to be trading into support. And then if the majors are trading into support and forming a break in market structure, and we get the bullish or bearish price action, whatever we're looking for, then at that point we would take the trade. So this would be the scenario that we're looking for bearish dollar. Okay, so I'm going to hide this stuff just so we don't have it in our way. But make sure you guys keep that on your charts, because if the dollar does break lower, that's what we're going to be expecting. All right, I don't expect that yet, because we do have this ICT bullish order block here that I'm about to talk about. So if we take our fibs and we draw it from this low here to this high, which is the most recent trading range that we're in, we're between this low and this high. Current market price is right here. Okay, so in terms of where they are, you could see that they traded down into the 61.8 retracement level, which isn't necessarily something that you would just act on your own without other things lining up with it. But notice it hit the 61.8 retracement level, as well as taking out these daily stops here and these daily stops. And the reason that these are daily stops is because there's a swing low. So there's a low, and then the two candles next to it are higher than this candle. And same goes for this one. So there's likely liquidity that's resting below here for anyone that bought this market on this push up. So anyone that was long now has been taken out. So they could likely start pushing it up from here. Now, if they do trade back down a little bit, I would expect them to find some support within this area here, the 79% retracement level. If they break below this 92.84, then it's likely that they're going to go for this low here. All right, but they would have to close below this level here. They can just come down and they can form a wick. So they can, for example, if there's a news event, then they can drive it down here. It'll form a wick, and then it'll start pushing up. So that's a possible scenario that we could get, but I am expecting dollar index to find some support at this ICT bullish order block. we've had like really small daily body candles just kind of gradually trading into it. So typically when we get movement like this, it looks more so like a retracement rather than it would just be like a full change in direction. Now, again, if we do break below this low, though, that breaks structure. And then at that point, we would be looking for continuation to the downside on dollar index. So let me go ahead and we'll take this fib off here because I don't need it on here anymore. But this is the level that you guys need to have on your charts here, because this is going to be the key indicator whether we're going to go lower or whether we're going to find support here in dollar index. So if we look on a 4-hour time frame here, it's a little bit clearer. You could see that we have the stops here. We still have resting liquidity below this one here. So if we do trade lower, we can easily take out the liquidity that's below this low here and then trade into this blue box, which is that daily ICT bullish order block. So that would be a logical scenario to see them do. Now, we were talking about this in the daily technicals video, and I said we're either going to find resistance here at this ICT bearish order block, or if we break through it, could be a possible continuation. Well, you can see the market pushed up, took out the stops that were above here, instantly rejected, and traded back below the ICT bearish order block. So now that it's back below this ICT bearish order block, it could very well start trading lower from here and do, what I said, come down here, gather up these orders, trade into this daily ICT bullish order block here, and then push it up from there. So those are, mainly all the scenarios that I'm going to be looking at for dollar index this week. Again, I'm more on the side of I want to be long dollar index, right? I do anticipate that we could get a possible retracement below this low here into this daily bullish order block. So again, we don't trade Monday and Sunday and Monday, so we could easily get a push down into this level, 46 pips. So the market could easily do 46 pips, over the next day and a half, and then have a solid setup on Tuesday in the majors for us. So expecting weaker prices going into the beginning of the week for dollar index. But once we reach this level here, I'm expecting support. If dollar index just starts trading higher, right as the market opens, then we'll hop on board on any of the retracements. So for example, if the market's pushing higher, then there's going to be retracements back down into support on lower time frames. And at that point, we would just go into the major that we're looking to trade, and we would either buy it or sell it depending on the pair. And that's pretty much how we would do it. So let's go to euro dollar now. And again, we'll start from a weekly time frame to see where we're at. So we had this weekly low here, push below it, formed a wick, and then we started trading higher here. In terms of if we're going to come all the way back up into this low here and retest structure, if dollar index does break below that ICT bullish order block on a daily time frame that we were talking about, this would be the scenario that we're looking for to unfold in euro dollar. So just a solid push up into there. Only if dollar index breaks that support level, because once that support level would be broken, that would indicate that they're breaking right through support. And more than likely, they're not selling, they're not buying the market at that point because they're breaking support. So they should be using resistance, which would mean that they're selling the market. Like, I know it sounds super basic and simple, but that's essentially all it is. So weekly time frame, we took out the low. See what happens when we look at a daily. Okay, so this is a little interesting. We have made a higher high here on euro dollar. We do have this ICT bearish order block here though, so it could easily find resistance off of this and trade lower. But again, if we get that initial push down in dollar index for Sunday and Monday, then we can easily see this trade up either into this ICT bearish order block or come back up within this gray box, which is just retesting structure. Once we broke below this, you can see that we retested it, used it as resistance, so we can push back up, use that level as resistance again. We do have this ICT bearish order block, these two up candles. So let me actually mark that out real quick. All right. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use a line because I don't like the way that two boxes look like that. All right. 1850. All right. So if we do get that initial push down in dollar index, then we could see this be the level that they use for resistance. But if we do break above this, then again, we're going to be looking for, you know, the same thing that we're looking for in dollar index. So if dollar index pushes above the, if dollar index pushes below the daily ICT bullish order block, and we would expect euro dollar to push above this daily ICT bearish order block, and then we would just simply look for a retest of that because that would have broken structure. All right, so we have made a higher high here, so we do have indication that they are buying, but if we get this, that's a full-on confirmation we've broken structure. Any retest of that should be valid buying. All right, so let's drop into a 4-hour time frame. So I did mark out this 4-hour ICT bullish order block here because if we do draw our fibs from this low to this high, again, the reason because we made a higher high with it, we've taken out stops, and it technically on a 4-hour basis is a break in market structure, but I usually like to use it if there's a stronger body candle that closes above here. But again, technically it is a break in structure, so it could very well trade into these levels, find support and trade higher. So again, the 79% retracement level here will be the level that, you know, if it trades below that, then I'm going to be looking for lower prices. But if it holds that level as support, then likely they're going to be buying the market between 61.8 and 79 if dollar index pushes lower, breaking that daily ICT bullish order block. So I am expecting the higher dollar index though after we do trade into that level if they do hold it as support. So again, make sure you guys have this level for euro dollar on your charts because this is going to be my key indicator for what I'm looking at in terms of, this is actually going to be the level that I'm going to be using to buy or sell the market at. So if we trade into it and we start showing signs that they're buying the market on a lower time frame, like we get a break in structure, we're forming bullish price action, then I'll buy it. If we break below it, close below it on a 4-hour basis, then I'm just going to look for a retest, short the retest, and then my target would be this low down here. So that'd be like 140 pips. So either way, whether it pushes up, pushes down, that's what we're going to do for both sides. So make sure you guys have these levels on your charts, especially these ICT bullish and bearish order blocks on a daily basis. And let's go ahead and we'll move to cable now. Now, cable didn't take out its 4-hour high here. Let me start with a weekly first, though, before we get into the 4-hour. Taking out the weekly liquidity here below this low, started to push up. Did have this ICT bullish order block here on a weekly basis that it did find some support at as well. So we could get a push up back into this low, which would retest structure. again, if dollar index pushes lower. Yeah, that would be a solid move. Okay, so looking at it on a daily time frame, we did break above this daily ICT bearish order block. So this was an ICT bearish order block that they were using here. Used it a little bit as resistance here, traded all the way through it, and then traded lower here. But then this day it closed above it. Once it got above it, it started finding some support there. So are we going to trade higher from here and cable? It's possible. I mean, the fact that it's cleared out the weekly liquidity and on a lower time frame basis, this 4 hour, we're finding some support at this ICT bullish order block, and they haven't cleared out the liquidity above here. We could see a pretty strong push up in cable. This is a solid 100 pip move. And that could happen early on in the week since it's already traded into support here. If the setup's there, we'll take it before Tuesday. Yeah, but I just want to see, because you guys see that we have this ICT bearish order block here that I have marked out, and we were actually using it a while back whenever the market traded into it here. What was that? May 22nd. The market traded back into it, found resistance, and then sold off. So now we're back to it. So we could very well find resistance and start selling off. And there's a lot of liquidity resting below this 1.30 level. So if dollar index does find support, this is what we're looking for, these lows. All right, so you guys should have pretty much every single scenario for euro, cable, and dollar index that I'm going to be looking for. Make sure that you put all these levels on your charts, because it's really not, doing you any good as far as learning if you don't mark out the levels on your charts, because the whole purpose of marking them out is whenever the market is trading to them, you can actually see how it behaves. And even if you don't have time to be at the charts, if you've seen the video where I talked about using this little replay feature in TradingView, you can just come in here and start from any point. So say you work all week and you can't be at the charts, and then there's a whole bunch of price action over here that unfolded. Well, you can go back and click this replay button and start from right here, and then you can play and watch the market trade into the level, see how it behaves, what happens once it gets above here, all that stuff, because that's going to really teach you what to anticipate in the market. And that's how I'm able to draw these levels, and I'm like, okay, it should find support here, should find resistance here, etc. Because this is what I've done. I just go back and then I look and see, okay, this is the price action that we had, this is what happened on a Monday, this is what happened on a Tuesday. If we had a small body day on a Monday, we likely get this. You just have to actually go in and watch it and study it just like you would with anything else, but you have to make yourself enjoy it, of course. So it can be difficult if this isn't something that you actually like to do. But yeah, I mean, you just have to learn to like it. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for, we can look at UJ. Yeah, UJ and a daily still in that consolidation. Then whenever it traded below that daily low, it pretty much did that turtle soup that we were talking about and then pushed up. So it has made a higher high here. So we could find some support and start trading higher if we do get that push up in dollar index. Right here at this 111.50 level, we do have relatively equal highs. So there's definitely going to be some liquidity resting above there, about 200 pips. So if dollar index does push up, we could definitely see that 111.50 level on UJ. Now, if dollar index does break below that ICT daily bullish order block, it's likely for UJ to probably trade back down into this high down here. ICT bullish order block high. which comes in at 107.60. And that's about a 200 pip move as well. So either direction, whichever way dollar index is going, based off of that daily ICT bullish order block, then we're either going to be looking for this level here at 107.60 or the 111.50 level in terms of up and downside objectives. So it's likely to me that they're going to want to push it above these equal highs here at 111.50 before coming lower. So that's me. I think there's too much liquidity with UJ. Like if you look all back here, all this liquidity above these highs, equal highs back here. Let's look at this from a weekly perspective. Look at this. Look at the movement that we had. So the market traded down. Let me just show you guys an example of this right now. All right, right here. What happened? The market's just consolidating, okay? Then what happens on this move? We're on a weekly time frame, so keep in mind. Market pushes up, the bodies of the candle close above here, okay? Yes, it did hit this ICT bearish order block on a weekly basis, but this candle becomes an ICT bullish order block once what? These candles break above it. So watch what happens. The market pushes down, collects all the orders in this ICT bullish order block. This is the indication though. Once structure is broken, close above it, like anytime the market closes above it, that's the indication. If it's just a wick and trades lower, so say this just would have been a wick and the market closed down here, structure wouldn't have been broken yet. Then you would have had to wait for this move. Structure was broken, traded back into support. Now watch the movement you get. All right, big body candles, okay? And that was this movement here. So look what happened again. The market pushes back into that level. This is going to be a strong ICT bullish order block on a weekly basis because we've had this huge move that took place after it. So we know that there was a lot of buying in this down candle, right? So the market pushes into that and we see so far a push up. We're within this ICT bearish order block, so that's kind of what they're doing. They're finding that resistance there, but when you look at it on a daily, we have that similar pattern that unfolded on the weekly that we were just looking at with that big move, right? The bodies of the candle closed above this high. Now the market's trading into what? Support. So we could see a push up to the 111.50 level. It's basically the same thing that we were just looking at. And that's the importance of back testing and going back and looking at your charts, because you have to see what the price action looked like as it did certain behaviors. If you're looking for a buy setup, which we're expecting potential bullish dollar index, which should indicate bullish UJ. So what would be an indication that this market's bullish? Well, we've taken out these stops here. We've traded above, closed above this high, breaking structure. We're trading into support now because this is an ICT bullish order block. Once these candles close above it, we have a similar pattern that had already unfolded back here. So, I mean, this is, it's all part of the process. You just have to go in and actually look at the charts, mark up your levels and study things like this, because this is what's going to make you a better trader. So that's the UJ analysis, and UCAD is just ugly. This thing is so ugly. There's nothing. It's chopping. So, I mean, I highly don't recommend that you trade UCAD until there's something that happens with this. We need like either a push up above here or break below these lows, but it's got to give us something. It's just sideways. So, I mean, hard to tell with this. If dollar index does push up, I mean, this should continue pushing up, but we there's no real indication. I mean, it's giving us no confirmation of any sort. It's just forming a ugly consolidation. So, yeah, I wouldn't trade stuff like this.
After this track, I might need me some lozenges. I ain't about to go soft. This rapping shit lately been pissing me off. Guess these words are kinda just at the tip of my tongue, but I'm still young and I hope I find the rhymes that'll live through time before that fat lady has sung. Cause when I'm inside this booth, feels like I rule the world. But I'll hop off my horse, hop in your Porsche, give it a